So that's started. So I'm going to do a little bit of a refresher of Green Westbourne, because we've got some people who haven't been before, just catch us up with what we've been doing. So going to talk a little bit about what's coming next. We've got two speakers to give us a bit of 10-minute inspiration. Divya Haru-Ramani from Fruity Walks, and Robert Halbert Perino, who's going to be talking about greening in Lancaster West Estate. And then we've got two other speakers who are talking about stuff going on in Westbourne, very excitingly, which is Eva Goudini, which I hope, probably not saying her name right. She's from Repowering London. She's going to be talking about solar panel installation on the Stowe Centre, possibly Westminster Academy. And we've got our very own local resident, who's going to be talking about her children's clothes swap and repair shop project. And then at the end, we're going to go into some breakout rooms where we can get excited, have some chats, and make some plans. So I hope that sounds good to everybody. So just a reminder, what is Green Westbourne? Green Westbourne is a shared vision for the future of Westbourne, where we can make Westbourne greener, healthier and better for nature. It's a network of residents, organisations and businesses who are working together to achieve that vision, and everybody here is kind of part of that network. And kind of leading on from that, it's a series of projects and initiatives which could include landscaping, wilding and greening works, food growing, volunteering and resident training, being active outdoors, nature connection activities, school and youth projects, and green enterprise and employment schemes. And we've got some pictures here from Grand Junction's half-term green events, where they were doing some bulb planting outside, which is very nice. So what have we done so far? So the network has come together and we've together made a project plan. So you can see our project plan up there in the top, setting out what we want to achieve and some main goals from the project. I can share that around with everybody again after today. And together we've had over 100 project ideas. And we've chosen 8 priority projects, which I'll also share again after the meeting to try and focus on first. And in that time, whilst doing all of that, we've also run loads of activities, including a community gardening project. Unta's been doing her clothes swaps. We've had half-term nature and growing sessions for families, wildlife workshops, nature connection and mindfulness sessions, trips to exciting green places and hydroponics farm, solar panel feasibility studies, everybody getting out and about in Westbourne, doing cycling sessions, and we've had some new trees as well. And that's just the things I could remember. So there's been loads going on already, and everybody has contributed to that, which is brilliant. What's next? What comes next? So what next depends on you. So we've got our project plan, we've decided our priorities, we've decided what we want to achieve. Basically, this is everybody's plan, and we all have a part to play in turning it into reality. And I think that is really what happens next, is that we all, in our individual ways, whether we're from an organisation or we're a resident or a business, that we can now go out and start turning that plan into reality. And I know some of you are already doing that, which is fantastic. So if you want a bit of inspiration, here are some opportunities to get involved with that. The first one is to be on the Green Westbourne committee. So the exciting news is that Westbourne Forum, which represents kind of the interest of local residents in Westbourne, have created a new Green Westbourne committee. So that's going to be a small group that's part of the Westbourne Forum that's going to focus on the Green Westbourne project and kind of keeping the momentum going in line with the project plan that we've all made. And so that kind of committee will be supported by and working with this wider network of organisations and residents. So it's a way of making sure that the leadership and kind of direction of this project really stays with residents and organisations who are working in the local area. So if you're interested in being part of this committee, it's a really exciting opportunity to help set the direction of Green Westbourne and kind of decide what comes next. And then you can let Sadia know, who works with Westbourne Forum, and I put her number there and her email address as well. So that's the first exciting opportunity. The second opportunity, you can help plan our Green Westbourne event. So we have a bit of money to run a Green Westbourne event, which is very exciting. And we're working with Happy Lizzie, hello Happy Lizzie, to plan that. And we've decided it's going to be happening on the 21st of May. And everything else is still to be decided. So if you're interested in being involved in deciding what is that event going to achieve, what's it going to look like, what fun things can we do, who are you hoping to reach, then there's a really great opportunity to kind of join in those conversations with the Green Westbourne Committee and design that event. So that's opportunity 2. Opportunity 3 is to help out at the Westbourne World Festival. So I've mentioned Repowering, who are doing the solar panels. So they're going to be at the Westbourne World Festival on the 12th of March. And we're going to be working with them to do a little survey with as many Westbourne residents as we can to try and find out how connected they feel to local green spaces and nature. And there's 2 reasons for that. Firstly, it's going to help us as a network decide kind of, you know, what projects are going to be really useful. But also it's going to help us if we want to apply for any funding to show the need for those projects. So if you're interested in helping out with some surveys, so it'll be going around and asking people some questions, supported by Kitty, then yeah, please let us know. So we do need volunteers for that. The 4th opportunity is to work with Untar on her children's clothes swap shop. So Untar is a local resident who has taken Green Westbourne by the horns and has set up her own project, which is fantastic. And she's looking for volunteers to help her out with that. And she's going to be talking a little bit later about that. The 5th opportunity is to become a London National Park City Ranger. So part of the Green Westbourne came out of me becoming a volunteer London National Park City Ranger. So the London National Park City is a bit like Green Westbourne, but looking at the whole of London. So it's loads of people from across London working together to make London, and their tagline is greener, healthier and wilder. And so if you become a ranger, there's currently 100 rangers across London, and they're recruiting 50 more. And each ranger focuses on their own project to help make London greener. And it can be anything. So if you've got any ideas about kind of how you want to make your area, which hopefully will be Westbourne greener, and you want to kind of get some support with that and get linked into a network of other people doing similar things across London, you also get some Timberland boots and a coat, then kind of apply here, and I'll put the link in this slide, and I'll put it in the chat later. And then the final opportunity is an opportunity for everybody, is that you don't have to do any of those things, but you could just turn your own idea into reality, whether it's small or big. So if you have an idea or you've been thinking for ages, oh, I should do that, then why not just do it? And I think that's really what today's session is all about, let's just do it. And hopefully we've got some examples of people who have just gone out and done stuff and kind of taken some risks, and it'll be a bit of inspiration. So whether that's picking litter on your morning walks, or getting a group of people together to exercise, planting some flowers, growing something on your windowsill, or doing some amazing nature art like these, like people were doing this half term in Grand Junction there. I love these. They're half creepy but also half really cute. So yeah, so those are the opportunities going forward for Green Westbourne. So it's really up to all of us to set the direction and a project plan into reality. So we're going to now hear from two people who have in their areas gone out and done some exciting things to make their area greener. So we're going to start off hearing from Divya. Are you there, Divya? I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah.
Yes, there you are. I can see you. Brilliant. So Divya's a fellow National Park City Ranger. And I'll make you a co-host because I think you might have a couple of slides to share. Is that right? And she's going to be talking about the project she set up, which is called Fruity Walks.
Thank you, Lizzie. Unfortunately, a classic, like my computer is crashing, so I don't want to open anything because I feel everything is going to come down. But I will just speak about the idea, and hopefully you can hear me well because there's also construction works. So if you can't hear, just give me a shout and I'll stop for a second. Anyways, on this start, lovely to meet you all. My name is Divya, like Lizzie's introduced me. And I started Fruity Walks about 2 years now. And Fruity Walks is an Instagram, soon hopefully a zine, a book, a map of sorts, but just an Instagram for now, where I find fruit trees in the city and just get creative, share interesting greening projects, talk and show people about walks and like meeting people in the greening space and kind of documenting it there. Because did you know that there is an avocado tree in London with like actual avocados on it, and there's pomegranate trees and grapefruit trees and banana trees with like tiny bananas on them. And it just started as a very creative project, just quite of a nuisance and like, oh wow, just trying to see London from a different perspective. And I'm also part of the London National Park City. Like Lizzie, I'm one of the rangers for Southwark. And what started as a fun creative project on Instagram, which, you know, oh my God, exciting, exotic fruit trees in London, is now becoming something bigger. Now, it's not just about finding these fruit trees, but working with the community in order for us to create these spaces, creating orchards for the communities so that people don't have to be finding them randomly, but actually can find them in their local community. And it's become a bigger project of social equity and having access of more greening spaces in communities where there is not that many green spaces at all, and just bringing something a little bit different, there's always something more special about having fruit trees than just planting normal trees, which are amazing too, but there's just something so nourishing for the community where they can go there and they can see the whole progression of these trees from a seed to suddenly the fruit starts growing, getting bigger. And it's something that I'm very passionate about. And we just finished an amazing orchard in the Rural Estate, which is in Bermondsey, and we are going to be planting some more fruit trees, having some kiwi vines, pomegranates, some more rare finds at St. James's Church, also in Bermondsey. So, but today I really wanted to focus on how it started and how anybody that has a silly idea, a small idea, can start. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big or small it is, because it's all about starting. So just the backstory of how this all began was I was spending the summer of 2020 in a small village in Spain. I come from Spain, so I was there for the pandemic, and what better thing to do than get your driving license? So I was in a small village getting my driving license, aged 28, and I had a lot of time to think and just lots of walking in this beautiful small village. It's called Cuenca, for anybody that might know, in Spain. And this village was just full of fruit trees. There was figs everywhere, and every time I'd go for a walk, I'd find so many beautiful trees full of fruit. And of course, I'm an engineer, so my brain was, okay, I need to map this, or I need some sort of spreadsheet to remember where all of these trees are. And so I was looking online. I said, okay, fruit tree maps in Cuenca, in Spanish. And I obviously couldn't find a single thing. But what I did find was fruit trees in London, a fruit tree map in London. It was these sort of rogue online fruit tree maps. And I thought that was just fascinating, how there's actually fruit trees growing in London. I mean, I've lived in London for 5 years now, and I just wouldn't have even thought about it. And I clearly had a lot of time in this village, so all I could think was about all of these fruit trees. And I come from a village of farmers. My family are farmers, so I've always been very deeply connected with the land, really understanding that fruit doesn't grow in Tesco and Sainsbury's, and how the huge importance of people having more connection to their food and fruit trees, and how kids should be able to see these since they're young in the park, something that they can cultivate patience and understanding. So coincidentally, while I was in this village, my friend told me that there was these events, and it was called 100 Voices, and it was an event where London National Park City were asking Londoners how to make London greener. And obviously, all I wanted to do was to share all of these thoughts that I had been having past day. So I was there with my brother. So I started telling him, hey, there's so many fruit trees here. I just want to make a map. How crazy is it that there's a map in London, but there's no maps here? And all it took was just explaining this to somebody, like telling your ideas out loud to anybody. And I honestly, still to this day, I think that was the most important step in just saying what your crazy ideas must be. And I'm very aware that in my group of my group of friends, they don't really care very much about fruit trees, but it's just about saying what you want to do, what your ideas are. And it kind of snowballed from there. And I presented this idea at the London National Park City 100 Voices. And that kind of made me more accountable to this. So I knew that I was going to be speaking. And so I created this Instagram like the night before the event, just so that while I was talking about it, people would be able to just like see something, not just me talking, but can go to Instagram and see it. And actually the first post, it doesn't even say fruity walks. I called it fruity parks. And I just shared some maps that I found on the internet, and that was kind of my first post. And being in that event, then I started speaking with people, finding people that were like-minded, and that led me really to evolve into the idea and the concept that is now. And so from this story, I want you all to just take away that the first step is always just to talk about it, to tell somebody, tell your friends, to anyone that will listen. And that what I've learned from this as well is don't be too urgent. I mean, we need to take action in life, but sometimes I felt that, oh, I need to do this right now or else there's no point in doing it. And I realized that actually, no, that take all the time that you need to set it up properly, to not try to be perfect, but you have time. Don't be rushed. These are projects that will be with you for life, and they will evolve with you and without you. And that I think would be the main takeaways that I've learned so far. And again, just talk about it, start something. It doesn't have to be perfect. Everybody starts with something that is so unperfect, and it just takes thinking about it to make it happen, and meet your people, get out there and find your people. So yeah, that's it from me.
Great, thanks, Divya. Amazing. I think it's yeah, it's just great. I love all the muted clapping. Yeah, thank you so much. It's lovely to hear, you know, about you just kind of getting out there and starting that, and about that process. Did you want to say a little bit about kind of the plans, your plans for Fruity Walks, and kind of where you're going? I've put the Instagram link in the chat if anybody wants to have a look at the Instagram.
Amazing, thank you. I think moving forward, it's being more active in the community. We've already starting with the rural state orchard, and I learned so much of what it takes to mobilize a community. And of course, I was just a part of a wide group of people that were doing it, but it's such an interesting concept and process that I would love to be able to take this to other communities. And with London National Park City, it's all a matter of just speaking with each other and, oh, I live in a state that we could be doing this. So I definitely, that's one of my main things, just continue being able to help on these projects. And my goal would be to create some sort of zine or a magazine that I could be like publishing every, I don't know, every year, every half a year, with all the different fruit trees that I find, and kind of the stories behind all of the fruit trees, because they all come out of actually people bringing these seedlings from places far and beyond. The grapefruit tree that I found, the backstory is a woman brought 2 seedlings from Granada back in the Windrush about 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and now they're beautiful trees that have bloomed. And it always tends to be people finding a connection to their homeland. So I'd love to be writing a little bit more about that and creating a bit more of a solid map where people can also see London from a different perspective and just be able to explore in a different way. So that's the plan.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Divya. I know that, Rooney, you've got your hand up. We're going to have a chance to ask both Divya and Robert questions afterwards in breakout rooms. So if you take a note of your question, don't forget it, and then you can ask it afterwards. That's brilliant. Thanks, Divya. Okay, I'm going to hand over now to Robert Halbert-Farina, who's going to talk about his experience of breeding in Lancaster West Estates.
Yes, I can't see myself, which is probably a good thing. Can you see me?
We can see you.
Anyway, buenos dias. Me llamo Roberto Pereno. Sono mezzo Italiano. I'm half Italian. Yes, but by the way, thank you, Divya. That's very interesting. I mean, I'm sort of riddled with quotes, and if they told me that the world would end tomorrow, I'd plant a tree today. And I mean, I know that's a very powerful thing to say, because when you plant a tree, and I think it's amongst my favorite things amongst I do, and often as a guerrilla gardener, don't ask permission, just put a tree in. You know, it will outlive us. I recommend The Secret Life of Trees as a book. It's fascinating how trees were here way before. So in a sense, one can argue that they're first immigrants. Even the London plane, which is a cross between the London plane and the sycamore, you know, trees through the seeds, they came over here, and also, you know, we went over there, and you know, people in there, you know, like Darwin would have seeds in his trousers and stuff, and anyway, in the diaspora, we went to America. Bluegrass, which became the music originally, you know, so seeds move around and things grow. It's fantastic. So anyway, that was really interesting, and I'd like Divya to meet my friend Sarah Lom of the Tree Council. I think you'd be a very good contact. She's an inspirational figure, and I also know the chairman of the Tree Council. And so I'm just taking what I've just heard. On a negative note, we are an indoor culture. I mean, listen, I'm not clever, just Google it. 90% of our time is spent indoors. In America, it's even worse. So whether it's where, you know, for instance, even me, a gardener, I've had so many meetings today, I've not left the home yet, right? I've not been outside. I've been on the balcony briefly, but 90% of our time indoors, whether it's at home, whether it's in the office, whether then we go to the indoor gym, we go to the car, you know, and it's a fact. And I've noticed this myself on Lancaster West Estate, that 20 years ago, I mean, when I was small, and I do grow up in India, warmer climes, Kolkata now, I was outdoors all the time, and I just noticed that kids are outdoor a lot less. And then, we're on a Teams meeting. We all have mobiles. Here I am. I'm just following you on Instagram. We're going to all follow each other on Instagram. There is this kind of feeling I get sometimes that there's a talk the talk and walk the walk. So anyway, I am the gardener of Lancaster Estate, and I started off very much like this. Most people begin to garden only when they have a garden of their own, and some people begin only when their most important seedlings, their own children, have grown up. A few of us began gardening much earlier in our own parents' space and time, and I began when I was 10. I was at boarding school. My parents from India was coming from 6 years old, and about at 8 years old on the first day there was a fire. Seaford School down the coast near Seaford, little town along the coast near Brighton, further down. And Parker, he passed away in the fire. I blocked it out of my brain. He went down, and I built him a little rockery, and I got a little ward at school. And it's so much stuck with me till the great tragedy that happened. And literally, maybe because I'm Kolkata, the goddess Kali, out of destruction, my marriage ended, everything was falling apart. And I went, I'm going to become a gardener. I mean, I'm 64 now. This is what I'm like. I was 50. I don't know when it was, So I kind of, the thoughts were there before, and I started volunteering before then. And now I can't believe it. I am a full-time gardener for Kensington Chelsea, and my title is volunteer coordinator. I have a lot of volunteers on a daily basis. Not today, because today seems to be a meetings day, and it's changed my life because being outside, I just Googled this: relieves stress, strengthens immunity, sharpens your focus, helps develop a healthy diet, and calms the mind. And I'm loquacious, and one of the reasons I like gardening, and I've got an allotment, is that it's non-verbal. My conversation with the plants is very gentle. I do a lot of fundraising with the Grenfell Project funds. I raised money, £5,000, to give the residents a plant. So a lot of residents of Lancaster West have a plant from me.
Did you want me to share your photos, Robert?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, I didn't, as I say, so sort of the and actually lockdown helped, because obviously, Lizzie Fletcher goes, oh, I'd really like a plant. Well, here you have a mother-in-law's tongue, or you call it a snake plant. I don't know if you can say mother-in-law's tongue anymore, but in this cancel culture. But then you keep in touch with me because you have an indoor plant. You go, oh my gosh, my indoor plant, it's not doing very well. My aloe vera is not well. Aloe vera should be planted on an angle, slight on an angle. Most plants should be planted slight on an angle. So the root, if you look outside, you see not everything is pointing upwards. It kind of points, and that's because in a pot. So so we have a conversation. We've opened a conversation. I've given you a plant. As you see from the pictures there, we have drop-in sessions to plant bulbs. I do a lot of recycling, which I call, no, it's not recycling, it's upcycling. So if you can see there, you get a can, or on the left bottom picture, they're bottles of water. I get the volunteers, they cut them in half, you put the soil in goes the muscari, because we discard a lot of stuff. So I'm bringing a lot of stuff in here. I do know that. So it's about owning the outside space. When you leave your front door, the public space belongs to all of us. And the power of community to create health is far greater than a doctor or a clinic. I just Googled that. I'm not intelligent, right? So, and so basically we have to, as a community, with the breakdown of the family, a lot in this atomized society, our community is our family. And our public spaces belong to all of us. So don't always think, oh, it's the council's job to, there's a, let's say there's a little tree in a little thing outside. What I do, the bottom of trees, I plant, I've got one called Times Square. I've got 21 different types of thyme. I'm coming from a guerrilla background. I'm going around and I'm planting here, there, and everywhere. Oh, I'm in Lancaster. I need some rosemary. Walk down the stairs, cut the rosemary, take it up. Sophie there, she's cutting back the lavender, as you can see, there's a bit of mint there. And also I work with Veg Trug, and they give me quite a few free ones. You can see Veg Trugs. It means that I do have one volunteer in a wheelchair, so they can garden without bending low. And I've given out 400 grow kit boxes with seeds in them, and then they can come to me for advice, so we can all grow as a community. Because at the end of the day, to plant a seed is the most humble thing you do. And I know I've had some very low periods, but once you plant a seed, it becomes, oh, poor Robert, he's been dumped. Oh, poor Robert, he's lost a job. Robert, get out, water your seed. How's it doing? It's your child. I get emotional thinking about it. Gardening has changed my life. All my life, I've been looking for a voice. I kind of did a bit of this, I did a bit of that, not too bad, did quite well at some things, badly at other things. And I think as a volunteer coordinator and as someone who's encouraging people to come outside, for me, it's about, at my tender age, it's about finding your voice, your passion. I am drawn towards composting. We throw away a lot of food. I have an allotment, not one bit of food. I don't eat meat, luckily, so that's a bit harder to compost meat, but everything goes to my 4 or 5 a lot. I create a lot of compost, which is basically in the end soil, the cyclical journey. And I'm drawn towards that. And they say my partner's drawn towards growing vegetables, and our neighbors are grow, you know, so with everyone's a gardener, and it's about finding your voice. Like Divya's found it with the fruit trees. In fact, I'm talking to the tree council about having a little orchard, but then you have to consider light and where you are in the estate, or whether it's south facing, north facing, because that's quite important. And I've brought in a lot of different aspects here. I know I have, but at the end of it, perhaps what I'm saying to all of us is we have to get out more. It's such a powerful thing. As Nietzsche said, all great ideas come from walking. So at work, if I have an issue, I will say to my boss, can we go for a short walk and talk about it, not sit over a desk and, you know, sit down? Because in the movement, you know if I'm feeling stressed, if I go for a long walk, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to work my way through things. But if I still stare at the computer, I'm already getting stressed thinking about it. So it's been, you were going to tell me, by the way, Lizzie, when it's 10 minutes. And although at the beginning I thought, you know, because I can go on. The book I've just read from is Thoughtful Gardening. And I think we can get so stuck down with words like mindfulness and so forth. For me, gardening is about the cycle of life, that life goes on beyond, it goes on. And I'm only gardening for the next generation, and I'm planting for, my garden belongs to everybody. And I want to create as many gardens as possible. I want to meet as many people as possible to encourage them to become gardeners. 2 of my volunteers now, as I said, are working. And it shouldn't be a chore, because within you've got to find your voice in the garden, be it fruit trees, be it litter picking, because I have a litter picking, be it, you know, tidying up. I mean, February is a wonderful month in gardens. The crocuses that break like fire, Tennyson. You know, it's a fantastic time of year. Every single day in the garden is never wasted, and I feel emotional saying it. And it's changed my life, and I highly recommend that you garden, because we have to, because the planet needs to be green. We are heading for disaster otherwise. Plant a seed. It's the most humble thing you can do. And as I said before, if they tell me the world would end tomorrow, I'd plant a tree today. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Robert. You were literally spot on 10 minutes as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know, Robert, you're like a whirlwind of energy in Lancaster West, and just hearing about lots of the things you've been doing is amazing. And there's even more. So Robert's been involved in community fridges as well, and things like that. So if you do want to ask him some questions about what he's been doing there, then please do. But thank you, Robert. That was fantastic.
From now onwards, all Happy Lizzie meetings will be outdoors. Not on Zoom.
Yes.
Robert, you've made everybody want to leave the meeting and go outside.
I do, but actually, funny enough, you know, and yet again, Google it. When children do classes, and a lot of nations, I think, have classes outside. I mean, I was always staring out the window. There must have been a reason at school. He stopped staring out the window, Robert, when I was little, because I wanted to be outside. And I think if you have lessons outside, unless it's terrible weather, even for half an hour, I think the kids would really benefit from lessons outside. Outdoor lessons. Outdoor
There we
cinema,
go.
outdoor.
We'll have to leave it there, but I think that's we should maybe just do everything outside there. So I'm definitely going to go outside after this meeting.
Al fresco. Al fresco.
Brilliant. So yeah, thank you so much again to Divya and Robert for some really interesting talks and answering everybody's questions. It's been really fantastic to hear from you. So yeah, brilliant. And now we have 2 more exciting talks, which are more Westbourne based. Oh, and Robert's put his number there in the chat. If anybody wants to get in touch. Brilliant. Thanks, Robert. So we have two more interesting talks, and these are Westbourne based, so these are about exciting things that are happening actually in Westbourne right now. Our first one is from Eva, who's from Repowering London. Eva, I did attempt to say your second name.
No, don't try.
But I decided not to
You're right.
Okay, so mess it all up. Ever's from Repowering London, and they work with communities across London to install solar panels and solar energy. And they've been doing some exciting work with the Stowe Centre and Westminster Academy. So I'm going to hand over to you, Eva, to tell us a bit more about it.
Cool. Thanks, Lizzie. Thanks for this good meeting, and thanks for inviting me. It's been great to hear about everyone's projects. So yeah, I'm just going to share my screen. I had like a few slides, but I think, Lizzie, you've got to make me co-host maybe. I just thought it'd be nice for people to see a bit, because I just want to explain how community energy works. And so yeah, cool, perfect. So I'll just share from the first slide. So, right. Can everyone see that okay? Okay, brilliant. So yes, powering Westminster with community energy. Maybe you've heard the term community energy before, but maybe you haven't, or maybe you've just heard it, but you weren't sure what it means. So I just wanted to explain a bit what community energy is. So community energy, it's when a group of people get together to either generate or manage or reduce consumption of energy. So when people get together to create their own energy projects. So it can, in practicality, like it can involve different things. For instance, it could be to install solar panels on a school or a community center. It could be improving the energy efficiency of a site, like a sports center, for instance, or it could be like installing LED lighting, and loads of other things that you can do, things around heat, power, energy efficiency, demand side response. So loads of different energy projects that communities can get involved in. But the underlying idea is really to take back control of the energy sector, because the way the energy system is set up at the moment, and it's been like that for a while now, is that it's very much dominated by big companies, and it's very centralized systems. So you've got like big gas power plants, and people don't really see and have ownership around things that are happening. But if we want to transition to a low carbon society, if we want to have more renewable energy, we think that one way to do that is also to get people much more involved in it. And if we've got a lot of renewable energy, it's going to be much more distributed. It's going to be much more small scale and decentralized. And so people are going to see it more and have more opportunities to get involved. So that's community energy. And I work for Repowering London, and our specialty is to co-create community energy projects with local communities across the city. So we've got energy cooperatives in South London, we've got one in North Kensington, we've got some in Hackney, and one of our projects at the moment is to try and set something up in Westminster, which is why we're talking about it today. And in terms of how does it work? Because at Westminster, we're looking into solar panels. I just thought I'd give you an example of how a community solar panel project would work on a school. I'll just go through that quickly. But you start by, once you find a school to install solar panels on, you start by creating a community energy cooperative with people from the local area who have a link with the school or who just want to get involved in such a project. Once you've created your cooperative and you know how much the solar panels are going to cost, you can launch a community share offer. So that's a sort of fundraising, a crowdfunding, where everyone from the local community can invest in the project. And once you've raised enough funds, you can purchase and install the solar panels on the school. And when the solar panels are up on the school, the cooperative, the community energy cooperative, is going to sell the electricity from the solar panels to the school, because it's the cooperative who owns the solar panels. And then with the profits from the sale of electricity, the community energy cooperative is going to repay investors with a return. So people who have invested in the project are going to get a return on their investment. Some funds are also going to go and just administrate this cooperative and ensure that it's running smoothly, because the cooperative, like everyone who's going to invest in the project is going to become a member of the cooperative, is going to have a say in how the project is run. So there is some administration around that needs to be covered. And then we also set a bit of profit aside to benefit the whole community. So that's in the form of a community fund, and that could go to support other local charities or community centers or running activities in the schools, for instance. In terms of what we want to do in Westminster, we want to set up such projects, and we're working with the Paddington Development Trust and the Westminster Academy to develop the first community energy cooperative in Westminster. So at the moment, we're looking to organize feasibility studies on the Stowe Centre for 59 kilowatts and the Westminster Academy for 112 kilowatts. So if you're interested in future meetings, workshops, or volunteering opportunities to make this happen, you can get in touch with me, and I'll put my email address in the chat. And if you've got any questions, I guess we can talk about it in breakout rooms.
Wonderful. Thanks very much, Eva. That's brilliant. And Eva's also going to be at the Westbourne World Festival, where they're going to be talking to residents about this project, and also we're going to be doing the survey that I mentioned earlier with local residents. That's great, Eva. It's so exciting, and hopefully kind of all goes well with the feasibility studies. I have to say, since I heard about the man going on the roof in the storms, I found solar panels much more exciting than they even were beforehand. So added a bit of a hardcore film-seeking element to it. And you'll have an opportunity to ask Eva any questions in a couple more breakout rooms in a second. Brilliant. I'm just going to now hand over to our last speaker, who is Untag Glover, who is our local Westbourne resident, who has really taken the idea of Green Westbourne. Oh, and Success is joining as well. So it has really taken, that's not Untag, by the way, that's Success. She's taken the idea of Green Westbourne, and she had an idea, and she's acted on it, and she's got some funding, and she's going to tell you all about it, which is amazing. So hand over to you, Untag. I'm going to you need to unmute if that's okay.
Sorry, the little one wants to join. In a minute, you have a go. Afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Lizzie, for giving me this opportunity to share my little idea. Basically, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a local resident in Westbourne. I'm also a maternity champion, and obviously I got involved with a few bits and pieces here and there. And then when Green Westbourne came along, I said to Lizzie, I've got tons of clothes that I don't really want to put in the bin. And I'm sure there's many other people in this, in Westbourne, if not beyond, with similar situation. And it'd be nice to do something with it. Initially, I thought, oh, maybe I could have, I don't know, a shop and just sell it off. But then that part didn't go quite right. So we decided to give a swap shop a trial. So I partnered with Grand Junction when they had an autumn festival back in November. And so I tried it and it went really well. Everyone was like, oh, we need more of this. We need more of this. So I was like, okay. So there's, like-minded people in Westbourne. So there's a gap in it. So why not tap in it? So obviously when the North Kensington program funding and thing came up, Lizzie was like, well, if you're still interested in making something out of, pre-love clothes or, then this is your chance. So we obviously put application through and hooray! Yeah, I was offered, the grant was offered. So the idea is basically, it's a swap shop, but also it's an upcycling workshop. So you can come in and just swap things with, whatever needs swapping, and whatever that can be swapped, we can then maybe transform it into new cherished item, like, I don't know, tote bag, blanket, cushion cover, there's a lot that can be done. And luckily for me, I've been able to find, it's actually a neighbor who is, very good with her hands and the machine. And she's got brilliant idea, of, upcycling stuff. So I was like, wow, this is, it's definitely something worth a try. I mean, like, sorry, I've forgotten your name, the fruit lady, just, come up with a silly idea, but say it out. You never know what, what you say might turn out to be. And that's what, from my silly idea of, I've got tons of clothes, I don't want to get rid of that. Now this opportunity is present, and I really, for me, I think it will only be a success if we all get involved, and I really want everybody to get involved. I came up with the idea, but it wouldn't be anything without actually, getting everybody connected. And the outcome, I mean, my aim obviously is, we can transform, old things into new things, but also build relationships, share ideas, and just build connection within, Westbourne. I mean, the pandemic has really struck a lot of us, and sometimes you need things to really get us back to what used to be normal. And I think this will help if, we all get involved. So please, if you're interested to, if you have a little idea to share or tips of what to do with, I don't know, my old baby blanket or coat, please, yeah, do get involved and do give me a shout. It would be nice. Yeah. Thank you for your time. I know.
Great, thank you, Anta. That's brilliant. Yeah, and it's lovely. And I have to say that you have been the person come to me and saying, "Oh, maybe we should do this all the way along." So yeah, so I think well done for keeping the momentum going. I think it's can be one of the hardest things. So it's really great what you're doing. One thing I've just been wondering about, because for those of you that don't know, I'm going to be going on maternity leave, and just been wondering about keeping this network connected kind of when I go on leave and we may not have these meetings so much. I was wondering what people thought about setting up a Green Westbourne WhatsApp group so that people can connect and share ideas and put call outs for help and things like that. Or if people are too many WhatsApp groups. So do you want to give me an initial like thumbs up, thumbs down for whether you think it's a good idea? Thumbs up. Okay, got thumbs up. Okay, so maybe that's something that we can look at getting set up. Fantastic. Right, so that is pretty much the end of our meeting today. So thank you all so much for coming. Just a bit of a reminder to let me know or right now in the chat if you want to get involved with joining the Green Westbourne committee, helping to plan the Green Westbourne event on the 21st of May, helping at the Westbourne World Festival on the 12th of March, helping Untar with the children's clothes swap and repair shop, and joining the London National Park City Rangers, or if you've got anything else, any other ideas that you want to turn into reality, you just want to have a chat about. So write that in the chat. My contact details are here if you need them, and otherwise I think that's all for today. I'll be sending around and recording and all the slides and everything. Thank you all for coming.